Wait, where am I looking?
You're looking at the screen, of course.
Okay, we're live. Assalamu alaikum, guys. Welcome back to the Real Talk. We are back with Saika Riyad, the divorce coach, and she helps divorce professionals bounce back from a divorce, feel fulfilled, feel whole, and find the best in their life. What about
The
you,
best
Saika?
in their life, the best what in their life, the best fruits in their life.
The best, the best life ever. Having a more fulfilled life.
I like that. The best in life. That's it.
The best in life. What's better than that, Saika, man? Come on, you help people live their dreams.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, Alhamdulillah. And joining me today again, mashallah, we're really happy and honored to have the wonderful Rosaline Batul, who is the transformational business expert who helps coaches sell their high ticket offers. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today. We're really excited. It's been a long time, we haven't
Oh my
come on,
God.
and
It's been, it's been it
it's
feels like
yeah,
months.
and really looking forward to it. Subhanallah, like this is our leisure time. This is our pastime. We absolutely
Yeah.
love serving you. We love coming on here. So yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Before we start, just to let you know that you can follow Saika Riyad on Instagram. Just type in at Saika Riyad and she'll come up. And also, you feel free to DM her if you are a professional going through a divorce or you need some healing. Saika Riyad is your main woman.
Alhamdulillah. And of course, Rosaline Batul as well. Oh, you gave me an extra intro today. I wasn't expecting that.
Girl,
Walaikum
like I
salam.
have to learn.
Walaikum salam. Everybody, make sure you do say hello because we don't know who's on unless you write a comment. So, Alhamdulillah. Today, what are we talking about today then, Rosie?
I'm no man's Joey, okay? I ain't no man's slave. Like what? Like how dare you? All this feminism that's coming up, telling me to serve my man and be his. What do you guys say in Punjabi? Chamcha.
Not all of them speak Punjabi. Yes,
Well, guys, so I can speak Urdu. It's chamcha, right? Or lilag, one of those things.
it is. Yeah, it is. Subhanallah. So,
But we're
Alhamdulillah,
talking.
today we wanted to talk about I'm no man's Joey and the attitude people have when it comes to not just marriage but in life generally, and what a bad attitude that is.
Yeah, so basically, we wanted to keep the title as I'm no man's Joey, but the whole point of the topic is talking about toxic feminism. Okay, so let me just introduce the topic. Basically, there's a theme that's going on that's been going on for quite a while that marriage is only there to fulfill the woman's side. That makes sense. So if I'll only get married if the man is earning this much a year, he's got this in place, that in place. It's like a lot of the things is all about the woman and what she needs rather than what the man needs as well. Because marriage is a partnership, but that's not talked about a lot because of this whole wave of toxic feminism saying that, oh, a man's only good for me if he's A, B, C, and D. And it's like this perfect, we're looking for this perfect man that doesn't exist. So basically, that's the whole theme around this I'm no man's Joey.
Yeah, subhanallah. And I think what happened was I was dealing with a client a couple of weeks ago, subhanallah, and basically this was a married couple, and each time they would have an argument or they'd have a fight, she'd say to him, I'm not your Joey, I'm not no man's Joey, meaning you've got absolutely no right upon me. I don't have to listen to you. I do what I want, when I want, and how I want, and I'm not obliged to listen to you at all, subhanallah. So, what we're trying to say is that this attitude is a very bad attitude in marriage. Okay, marriage, subhanallah, is about compromising, it's about having flexibility. Having flexibility is at the heart of the marriage, right? Subhanallah, marriage is not a little thing, it's not something to be taken lightly, it's a long game. You're not in it for the short term. You need to have certain qualities and stamina. And obviously, we're religiously guided as well. And you're dealing with the core of your heart, the core of your character. And what we're trying to say here is that once, if the character is not upright, or if you've got this bad attitude, it's going to really mess up your chances of success, not only in your marriage, but generally in your workplace, in other things that you have, in other commitments you have, because relationships are successful because of human qualities, right? That's what makes them successful. You have to
Mhm.
sacrifice. You have to sacrifice a lot, subhanallah. It's about giving and taking, and
Yes.
a lot of people start using the Quran and the Sunnah to threaten or get what they want. But that shouldn't really be used unless it's absolutely necessary. Saying that you're no man's joy is a selfish attitude, okay? Because marriage has been created by Allah, been created by God to bless you, to bless us, and to make us happy. And we have to kill that selfish attitude. You know, it's like saying, um, that person becomes like, if my needs are being met, then I'm happy and everything's okay. And if they're not being met, it's not okay. And it becomes tit for tat. But actually,
Yeah.
only really successful. You can only really be successful when your other half tells you that you are. You know, you can't say that I'm a good husband, I'm a good husband, I'm a good husband. You're not a good husband till she says it, and vice versa. It has to be, you know, actions speak louder than words, subhanallah. And I think a lot of us, the problem is we become quite defensive, we become insensitive, and selfishness is just me, 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 me. And
Mm.
that approach, that attitude is gonna really mess you up in the future,
Yeah,
especially
that's
in
so
marriage.
true.
Marriage, you need so much compromising, so much give and take, because marriage, subhanallah, can be either an absolutely wonderful thing in the world, right, where it's fulfilling you, you're happy, you're overjoyed, everything, or it can be the worst thing on the planet, depending on what you bring, you know, what you bring to the table.
Mm.
So saying that I'm not going to do this, so I'm not anybody's joey, is showing that it's all about you. You know, don't dominate the home. It's very miserable to live with that kind of attitude and that kind of thought process day in and day out. You
Mm.
know,
And I wanna add note here. We're talking about healthy, like two spouses who are, emotionally available. It's not like a toxic abusive situation. This is not to perpetuate or to say that, you need to stay in a relationship that's abusive or toxic, and you need to like give your all and not have any boundaries. We're not saying that. The point is that, just like Saika mentioned, it's a compromise. And I've noticed that, especially with women that I work with that are
mm,
very successful, they find it very difficult. They hate the word submit. That
yes,
word
yeah,
submit, oh
subhanallah.
my god,
It kills us,
it
doesn't it,
kills.
subhanallah? Yeah, it's
Like, guys,
killing on
comment
the
comment
ego.
below.
Yeah.
Comment below if you hate the word submit, or to be submissive to your husband. Like, that word just really grates you, and it really irritates you, and it makes you feel like a slave. But the whole point of submission is a submission to yourself, really. Like, you let go of your ego, because it's always your ego that's trying to keep you safe, especially when you have an avoidant attachment. So if you were a child and you were raised in an emotionally unavailable household, you have avoidant attachments, meaning that you don't find it safe to be in a relationship. You don't find it safe at all, and you'd rather be alone, or you'd rather have a man succumb to your needs and then say to him that I'm an independent woman, I don't listen to no man, and I do everything by myself. That's an avoidant attachment. That's like a trauma that you need to heal. And
Mm.
I find this so much with successful business owners, women especially, who have
Yeah,
everything going for
definitely. I
them.
would
Yeah.
completely agree, because women who go to the top and who fulfill all their goals and who are thriving in their business and their career, they think now, you know what, I've got to this level, I've got to this stage, and I don't need a man to tell me what to do.
Thank you.
That's
Right.
that's where the bad attitude comes upon her. That's when things can become really. You have to correct your character. You can't be
Yeah.
so defensive and so insensitive that now you've forgotten the union or the partnership of a marriage, subhanallah, which requires a ton of compromise.
Right, exactly. And it's the same with men. There's a lot of men who say, I don't want to get married right now. I need to have everything in place. I need to have, once I get to the top, then I'll get married. But then in the end, if you look at every successful man, he's always had a woman like with him to support him and hold him down. So a lot of men have that avoidant attachment as well, like because they were raised that way, to believe that either women are gold diggers, either women are going to set out to
Yeah,
hurt
subhanallah,
them.
that's a really good one. You know, gold diggers. Whenever
So
the
my eldest brother thinks this. My elder, I'm gonna put it out
honestly,
there.
whenever the topic of money comes up, yeah, or
Oh
there's
God,
something related to money or mahar or
yeah,
anything like that, subhanallah, it's like alarm bells start ringing. But
right. And then we are dictated to about what our mahar can be. But end of the day, there was like that no one can dictate to a woman what her mahar can be. It's up to her to choose. That's the whole point of the mahar. But obviously, doesn't have to be extravagant. It has to be within the means of what the husband can provide. But still, it's up to the woman, and the woman shouldn't be shamed into saying what kind of mahar she wants. And that's
Yeah.
another kind of
So
toxicity.
I think men get defensive when it comes to this issue because they immediately think gold digger. They immediately think, you know what, she's going to be doing this. Sorry, I hope you didn't hear that in Instagram. But you know, men immediately start thinking red flag or thinking something is wrong or something is up. And women, on the other hand, when you tell them that okay, there's obedience to the husband, they run a mile. So it's really about coming in the middle and understanding that you can't dominate each other. It's not, she's not a gold digger, and you have to have some submission to him. As part of our faith. There's nothing wrong with that. Am I still on Instagram, by the way?
Okay, site has disappeared, guys.
So basically that's it.
I'm just trying to. Let me try and get on the laptop. Oh no, she's paused on the laptop. Okay, guys. So just 1 second. We're gonna come right back.
Instagram. Sorry, I had a call come through my phone.
I had a call come through. That's why. Okay, she's back.
I've got my brother's little children who can see me outside the window and they're just waving at me. So if I look really weird waving, I'm actually waving to the kids. Hi, hello. I always have this. You're the one with the children. I am the one that has all the people that come in. Subhanallah. So, yeah, alhamdulillah. So I think this is a bad attitude to have for both of them. The male is scared. The man is scared that she's gonna take my money and she's gonna do me over. Basically, right? That's the truth. Most men are scared of that, and they think, right, okay, she's gonna manipulate the situation.
Manipulate. Thank you. The word is manipulate. A lot of men have this in them that women are manipulative, and they will always they're gonna mess up my life. They're gonna take my money. They're gonna take my house. If I build this all up, she's gonna want it when she has my kids. All these things, these are conditionings that we've had. It's all conditioning that we've gained from childhood, from movies, from the stuff that we watched on TV, from hearing stuff from our parents, from seeing things like people going through a divorce and it was horrible. So these are conditionings that we've all had, and the first thing we think, oh my God, it's not safe. It's not safe to be in a healthy relationship, or it's not safe to be with someone. This person cannot be my safe space. So let me just make myself my safe space, and I'm going to be this independent person, not rely on no one. And you know what, that really cripples you, because I remember I used to go through that when I was young. My mom conditioned me, and she said to me, make your money first, become successful, then get married. So can you imagine when I did the opposite? My mom was like, girl, what are you doing? I told you don't get married until you're successful. But that kind of conditioning for me, obviously she was coming from a place of love, because she wanted to do that, but she didn't do that, and the relationships that she was in were very toxic. So she carried that conditioning into my mind and my childhood. But when I heal those patterns, I realized that's just the blueprint that I've been following to keep myself safe. That's it. Once you get rid of that blueprint and you make, compromise, a healthy marriage, healthy discussions, you make that your safe space, things change for you.
Yeah, subhanallah. That's so true, subhanallah. Getting rid of that blueprint. I just want to say, walaikum salam, Isma, Khalid, Anjum, and Farzana on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining, guys. I think you have to really, you have to kill your ego to be in a successful marriage, right? And when you come with these kind of pre-notions that it's going to be like this or it's going to be like that, and I'm not willing to budge, and that's how are you going to ever make your marriage successful if you're constantly on the defense and you're sensitive and you're I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. Subhanallah, the whole purpose of marriage is to compromise. Saying some people struggle so much, some people struggle so much with just saying I'm sorry. Saying I'm sorry is a massive word in your marriage. Owning your BS, acknowledging that you've made a mistake is a massive thing. I think that is worthy of respect. When somebody makes a mistake and they own up to it, they admit it and they rectify it. Subhanallah, it is absolutely, I have respect for them, people who do that. People when their egos are high, they just do everything insensitively. So the secret of marriage is focusing on your other half. It's not about focusing on yourself, because when it's two unselfish people who love each other, who accept each other, who listen to each other, that's when everything's gonna work, subhanallah. You know,
Mm,
and people think that being a wife or even being a housewife is a bad thing.
it's not. It's an amazing
Subhanallah,
thing.
yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, alhamdulillah. You know, I think we're conditioned with all about, it's all about the Kardashians and things like
Yeah,
that. And if you're at home, you've got nothing going for you. But no, subhanallah, the role of a mother, the role of a wife at home is massive.
yeah.
It's a lot of work, subhanallah.
Like
And, you
there's
know,
nothing more beautiful than that because you're building the next generation. Like what is end of the day, you like money comes and goes, your business comes and goes, like clients come and go, products come and go. That's not going to take you, that's not going to help build your generational wealth, generational legacy. That's not going to build that. Having a healthy marriage, having a healthy relationship is what builds like it heals generational trauma and it builds a future generation. Because we're living in a generation full of broken kids. Like we're
yeah,
exactly repairing the kids
mm,
because the marriages have been so broken. Like things have been swept under the carpet. We haven't been raised to understand what healthy dialogue is, what healthy communication is. Like
we
you
don't
can,
have a clue. We do
we
not
don't have
have
a
a
clue. Like
clue.
I
Yeah.
didn't. Like you can disagree with someone without getting into an argument. I didn't know that. Like I thought if you disagree with someone, that's it, class. Like it's done. But it's like because of the way we've been raised that you can't have a difference in opinion. You have to stick to one opinion. Be a sheep. Don't go outside the box. Stick to what the community says, what the society says. Society's opinions are more important than your own. All these things are breaking the people, breaking families. So it's more important for you to like being a wife, being a homemaker. That's more beautiful because you're building your castle, you're building your empire technically.
Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah. And you know what? I think it's beautiful having
Yeah,
been, I'd love to be a traditional wife at heart. You know, I would love to cook for my husband.
same.
In fact, I don't want any other woman to be giving food to my husband.
Yeah.
That's my role. I feel like that is, in a sense, a disgrace to me. I know he could do it sometimes as well, and I'm not saying it's exclusively upon me, but that's actually nice.
Yeah, there's
That's
nothing wrong with it. I don't know why
yeah,
we have this misconception that cooking for your husband or loving him and treating him right, treating him like, with honor and like a leader, there's something like you are suddenly being oppressed or you're like a Joey or there's something
yeah.
wrong with you. I don't know where
Yeah,
that
that's
misconception
I
comes
don't know
from.
why that misconception exists, and I think it's very common in the youth because when we enter marriages, we haven't got a clue on
Right.
how much it takes to actually make it work, and we think that housewifing is a bad thing because we've been used to all this freedom. We've studied where we want, we go where we want. Everything is available to us at the click of a button. We just click it and it's there the next day. Subhanallah, we've got unlimited choices, and
Yeah.
we do get a little bit spoilt as well in that process.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay to be spoilt, but you have to work on them things that are your weaknesses, and you have to really kill your ego in the marriage because
Oh my
he
God.
is, if your husband is your breadwinner, he oversees things. He doesn't dictate them, he oversees them. You support him in that. It's not that, saying I'm not his Joey. It's not about that. It's marital consideration.
Yeah.
You're not in a competition with him. It's just,
Thank you. You put
subhanallah.
the nail on the head,
Yeah,
Cypher.
you're not in a it's not you're not in a competition with your husband. It's just consideration, subhanallah. It's not a power balance. You know, um, you can both do things like to increase your self-esteem, like dressing up for each other, still dating each other, having regular date nights, keeping the spark alive, doing your hair, makeup, etc. It doesn't, you know, these things. Your foundations have to be strong.
I'm glad you mentioned competition. That's the issue. That's the basis of toxic femininity. That you are in competition with a man when you're not a man yourself. You are more powerful in your femininity than you are in your masculinity. And what's the difference? Every human has masculine and feminine traits. Some women have more masculine traits, which makes them very competitive, very goal-getting, always on the go, 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 and they don't know how to stop. And when you're too much in your feminine, it's like you're very emotional. You can't, you people please. You don't have no boundaries. So it has to have a balance. But as a woman, your femininity is like the ocean. Like you have to understand that you're flowing 24/7. When you're in flow, you are more powerful, you are more in control. But the problem is that we've been indoctrinated and conditioned to believe that let's go be like the man. And I remember Marilyn Monroe said this. She goes, a woman who competes with a man lacks ambition. Because why would you want to compete with someone that's not even in your league, technically? Like,
SubhanAllah.
you give birth to children, You're the one who's like the head of the home. You have a lot going for you, but the problem is we're competing with something that is an ideal. That's an illusion. Like you can never compete with a man. A man has his place and a woman has her place, and this is what happens in a marriage when you come with that expectation that I'm going to overthrow him and I'm going to be the leader.
Yeah. And I don't think that marriage really works long term anyway, because naturally, the man is the qawam. He is supposed to lead, and he's supposed to lead properly, effectively, obviously
Yes,
looking at the religious guidelines and doing it in
right,
the most upright manner. He should lead, and you should let him lead. No matter how much
right.
of a successful woman you are, subhanAllah, it doesn't mean that if he leads, he's taken over you, but it's just giving him that respect. It's just,
Yeah,
having that consideration that, you know what, Allah has blessed me with this man in my life. We both have rights towards each other. He's my breadwinner. He's working hard all day to, bring to the table, and I need to support him.
mm,
SubhanAllah. And that's the kind of attitude we need to have, instead
yeah.
of saying that I'm not his joy, I'm not going to do this. And that's like a spoiled little child, isn't it, really?
Right, and ladies, I want to say this to you. Like, this is what I came with. Like, when I got married recently, I was like, nah, I'm an independent woman. I don't need no man. I had that kind of misconception, and it caused a lot. It's like a
I think
power.
we all go through that for a bit.
Oh my
We
God,
kind of,
girl.
we do
It
all
took me
go
a
through
long time to get over it. It took me like a long time. But what it was is like I was trying to clash with my husband and trying to say to him, now I'm the leader. I'm the one. I'm independent. Like I don't really need you. Like I've got everything. I'm holding everything down. This is my fault. You're
it.
coming into it. It was kind of that power misbalance. Basically, there was a lack of balance. So once I started appreciating his actual leadership and actually respecting him for what he is as a figurehead, that's when everything in my marriage changed. The dynamics changed. He was more open to me, confided in me more. This is what happens when a woman allows a man who's obviously worthy of being led, and not an abusive man, not a toxic man, but a man who's emotionally available. He may have some flaws, but the point is that he's doing his best. And when you appreciate a man and compliment him and let him lead, that's when you start going. That's when you start opening up a bit more and becoming a bit more feminine and becoming like more like a woman and realizing what your strengths are rather than always focusing on your weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, I've been thrown back because we've got a little stranger who's going to the.
Oh, hey, salam alaikum.
She's not going to say anything.
Oh,
She's very, very quiet. This is my niece.
mashallah.
This is Isha. Say hello, Isha. Say salam
Salam
alaikum.
alaikum, Isha.
This is
Oh,
Isha.
she looks
Yeah.
like you, Saika.
Does she? You look
She
like me.
does. Oh, guys, don't
She's,
you think she looks
she's a
like
good
Saika?
girl, inshallah. She's such a good
Oh,
girl.
God, it's so beautiful,
She's really good.
mashallah.
She doesn't talk at all like, she doesn't talk as in like,
How old
she's
is
not.
she?
How old are you? 2.
She's
She's
not
shy.
two.
She is 2. You 2,
She
aren't
looks
you?
4 or 5, mashallah.
You
Allahumma
just
barik.
yeah. Go and play, sweetheart. Close the
Okay,
door.
let me just read some of the comments. Mama's Pot said there was a time when working outside the house used to be frowned upon, and sadly now we have the same pressure on women who want to be a full-time housewife. Yes, so true. Like if someone says to you, I just want to have kids and be a wife, like, ew, why? Don't you have
Yeah,
but
like it's a bad thing. Yeah, like
it's
it's a
not
bad
what I'm saying. It's so amazing. Like who wouldn't want to just stay at home, chill,
thing. Do
husband goes
nothing.
like, yeah, do nothing, just dress up.
Actually, you know what? That's wrong for me to say that, because, subhanallah, a wife and, with kids, they do have a lot to
Oh
do.
yeah, it's hard. It's hard work. It's not
That's
easy.
another misconception, that some people who are working think that they're at home, they've got nothing, they're chilling. Actually, they're not. They've got a whole load of tasks to do.
Oh my
It's not
God.
easy
Yes, it's
with
so true.
kids and with everything else, subhanallah. So I'm
Yes.
sorry, that was a mistake on my part. Yeah.
Kada said, I like this comment. Kada said, I think that problems happen because sometimes we as people don't actually know how to live in the world. So we take it wrongfully out on our spouse. Yes, so true. Our spouse will become our punching bags because we
Yeah.
don't know
We're
how
not
to
trained.
communicate.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah,
trained, and we've never really done that bit or understood that part, subhanallah.
right.
Yeah.
And Amzi asked, how do you maintain your emotional state in a relationship? How would you answer that, Saika?
Subhanallah, I think you have to do the inner work and really understand who you are, what your patterns are, what your triggers are, what makes you angry, and what pushes your buttons, and then look at working on them things to make sure that those things don't go out of, and there's a lot of character building, there's a lot of, owning up, taking ownership, and having that responsibility that, you know what, I have got these issues, I do make these mistakes, subhanallah, and I'm going to do whatever it is in my power to make sure I get rid of them.
Yes,
And you
radical responsibility.
yeah,
And I want to add
responsibility
to
is a
that.
big thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I want to add to that, you have to be comfortable in your loneliness. Like, if you're just getting into relationships because you're afraid of being alone, then that's a problem. You have to get comfortable with being alone. And sometimes being single is the upgrade. If you've been in a relationship for such a long time, or you've been in and out of relationships,
Mm.
getting married and divorced, which happens a lot in the community, there's nothing wrong with it. But I'm saying if it's happening on a regular and you're attracting the same kind of person, it's usually because you're afraid to be alone and you're afraid to sit with your thoughts and heal, and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have survival patterns. For some people, coping with their trauma, the only way that they can cope is by going into another relationship because they feel like,
Yeah.
I need someone
They
to
want a quick fix. They want a
yeah,
quick fix and to forget about what's happened, and they
right,
just go into it really, really fast. But that's not
and
actually
yeah.
to fix it, subhanallah.
And it's
That's,
because you don't want to take responsibility. And again,
yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. It's become your coping mechanism. You just have to change your survival patterns. That's it.
And
Your
on top of that, yeah, subhanallah, on top of that, Rosie, I want to also add that when you have this time after your divorce, if you are divorced, right, subhanallah, that is the most amazing time for you to work on yourself, to work on your marriage, to understand your goals, to focus on your deen, to focus on your relationship with Allah, to accept your responsibility and accountability on the things that you have done wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And then to also accept ownership on other things, and when you fix these relationships, when you fix your relationship with Allah, you take a responsibility for yourself and who you are and what your bad patterns are and what you're doing wrong. You take responsibility, and then you understand your spouse, and you do that collectively. That is your perfect time after your divorce to work on them things, subhanallah.
yeah,
It is really, really phenomenal for you. It's an amazing opportunity for you, because before you get into it, you want to make sure you're not going to repeat anything that you potentially or accidentally, the mistakes, we all make mistakes, right?
yeah,
That you made, subhanallah. So that's a phenomenal time. Don't be, and as Rosie was saying, don't be scared of being alone. Don't
mm,
be scared of being lonely. You're thinking, that's it, I'm here on my own, and it's the end of the world. No, that time, you can use that time so wisely, in abundance, and you can literally create your life. You can change your future if you accept responsibility, you accept ownership, you make a firm decision, you say, I'm going to get committed, I'm going to create my future, I'm not going to go with the flow, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to heal over this, and you can do it, subhanallah.
love that cycle. And it's so true, guys. You know what? Radical responsibility is not blaming yourself. It's actually shifting this whole blame. He did this, she did this, I did this. And it's actually looking at yourself, thinking, you know what? What could I have done better? And what lessons can I learn from this? That's it. That's what radical responsibility looks like. It's not you, because usually what happens when you get divorced, you blame the person, you get bitter, you feel revengeful, you're hurt, you're angry, and you're looking for someone to blame. You're looking for a scapegoat. Absolutely normal. You're human. But when you start taking ownership for something, because at the end of the day, you teach people how to treat you. No one comes into your life without your permission, without you inviting them in. There's a part of you that invites them in, that lowers your boundaries, lowers your standards, ignores the red flags, and you carry it on, right? So you enable it. So the thing is that with radical responsibility, that you take ownership of that and you think, you know what? Why did I do that? What lesson can I learn from it?
Yeah,
And how can I get better? That's all
better,
it
yeah,
is.
subhanallah.
Instead of you
And
blaming.
it's an abundant opportunity, wallahi. It's
Yeah.
an absolutely fantastic opportunity. After my divorce, alhamdulillah, through Allah's help and through Allah's blessings, I was able to completely recreate myself. I accepted ownership. I stopped making excuses that I don't have the time and the money and I'm not ready and this and that and so on, all the
Yes.
excuses that people make, right? And
Yeah.
subhanallah, and wallahi, it changed my future, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, it,
Banking out, Allah Mubarak. Same
alhamdulillah.
here, mashallah.
So yeah, so alhamdulillah, it's about taking that ownership. There's no failure in life. You get as much from your losses as you do from your gains. And I just want to appreciate everybody that has commented on Facebook. I am seeing your comments.
Mashallah.
Sorry, I haven't responded. Walaikum salam, RC Star, Yilmaz, Farzana, Akib. Thank you for joining, Farzana and Taki Al Mutabbir and Miss Samila Bibi as well. So subhanallah. And also I want to say something. I want to also bring something else up about obedience to the husband,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's talk about
right.
this. Like,
We
let's
did,
go.
yeah, subhanallah. And I know this is a sensitive topic, and this is not like, I'm not claiming, whatever you think I'm claiming, I'm not claiming that, right? Subhanallah. Firstly, we have to understand that the husband and the obedience to the husband, firstly, our obedience is to Allah, right?
Yes.
Any other obedience it should be acceptable in Islam, and it should be the norm to be for it to be acceptable and right. You know, you need to be capable of doing what you're asked to do. You know, because obviously Allah doesn't burden us more than what we can do. So when you're actually obeying your husband, you're obeying Allah in the right things, in the right way. It's based on cooperation. Marriage is based on cooperation. You're helping one another, and people frame this negatively. You know, it's
Mm,
not, and the man shouldn't be doing it to boss her about or boss people about, but empower them. You know, empower them with power. Because if you start threatening, and using the Quran and the Sunnah in an abusive way, um, and just throwing it left, right, and center. You don't do this, you're going to the hellfire. But actually, marriage is also based on good old values. It's a relationship of love. It's a relationship of sacrifice. It's a relationship of give and take. There's going to be times where you're going to be really, really, what's the word, not having any of it, and you'll need that help. And there's going to be times where he's going to be having not any of it, and you have to both compromise. So you can't be quoting the law, or can't be quoting the law of Allah by threatening punishment each time, because that's actually quite
right.
low. You don't do that. You have to, subhanallah, everything is perfect in our deen. when we
Mm,
when we use it properly, it is perfectly, alhamdulillah. But like, obviously, we know that technically speaking, that the woman needs permission to go out, but that shouldn't be made the status quo, because he might think that, you know what, she shouldn't need to feel to do that, because if the relationship is really weak, the trust is really low, then she may feel like she has to ask. So these are really important things, subhanallah. And
right.
you have to get rid of that selfish attitude that I'm not no man's Joey. And the man has to also get rid of that perception that she's a gold digger and she's going to do me over. Because that doesn't happen, subhanallah. When you go in sincerely for the sake of Allah, and you're sincere, and what is sincerity? It's ikhlas. It's the intention that is made pure. It's ikhlas. And all our actions, everything we do in our life, our good things, our bad things, should be directly linked to getting a reward from Allah.
Yeah. And I wanna interject. I wanna comment on two things. Sacrifice. Sacrifice does not mean you sacrifice yourself. It means you sacrifice your ego, and your ego always wants to be right. That's it. That's what you're sacrificing, the need to always be right. Because usually when you have this misconception, you know what, I'm an independent woman, I'm an independent man, that means you're always right. Like everything I say is gold, and it has to be taken as fact. That's what you're really sacrificing, your ego that wants to constantly compete with another person, because love is unconditional. When you actually think of it, it's an unconditional, a universal concept that everyone thrives on. And this is like one of our basic needs as a human being, is just love, right? So when you come from an ego perspective, when you give someone love and you're thinking about, okay, if I love this person, they're going to love me back, I'm going to get something from them. That's the ego talking. That's the ego
Yeah,
trying to control the
subhanallah.
narrative of what love is and what sacrifice is. Sacrifice is just basically giving up the need to always be right. And when obeying, there's nothing wrong with obeying a man who's worthy of being obeyed.
Yeah,
Simple as. Just like we obey the law of the land. We're in the UK, we obey the law, right? Coronavirus has happened. We are social distancing. We are obeying the rules. But what's happened is that because of toxic femininity and toxicity around, what a man is, how a man should be in the home, we instantly want to question it. We instantly want to say, nah, the man doesn't need to be obeyed. I'll obey myself. I'll do what I want. And that there's no reward in it. There's no pleasure in doing that. And another thing for a woman, and like, honestly for me, when I give up the need to be right, and I give up
yeah,
the need to make a choice, and I leave it to my husband, oh my God, my life is so great.
yeah,
Like when my
subhanallah.
when I leave things to my husband, and I just listen to him, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay, cool. It just for a human being, we only have so much willpower in the day. So having to make all the decisions in your life, and having to make all the choices, and having to be the leader 24/7 is draining.
Training.
Apparently,
It's
our willpower
absolutely
lasts for
draining. Yeah,
5 minutes. Our willpower only lasts 5 minutes.
yeah,
After that, our minds go into chaos. So having someone to take that pressure off you, and you're like, you know what, listen, you take it upon yourself, you lead, I'm just gonna follow. That takes up so much space. That frees up so much space in your mind that you're able to focus on things that really matter. So that's
Yes,
really what you need to think about when it
and
comes
you
to
know
your
what? I'm
relationship.
not going to lie to this. I have fallen into this myself in the past, right?
Yeah.
Where I've had this need that I need to be right. I need to
Hmm.
be right. But really, then I've had to take a hard look at myself and think, okay, is that my ego kicking in there? Is that my
Right.
ego that I have to be right? Is that I have to have the last say? You don't have to have the last say.
Oh my God, that was
Sometimes,
me. Like
yes,
I always
subhanallah, and we've fallen into it. You know, I'm not going to lie and pretend that I'm perfect, but subhanallah, we have to sacrifice and give that up. And really, ultimately, I think when you're connected to the source of all goodness, which is Allah
yeah.
subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything becomes easy. It's
Make
not.
yeah, make Allah your source of love and happiness, guys. Your husband, your wife is not your source of happiness. He or
Mm,
she is just a channel in which Allah has given you the ability to access the happiness. Allah is the source. Imagine the ocean and you have little streams of water. The little streams of water is your husband, your wife, your children. But the ocean, the unlimited supply is Allah. Allah has the unlimited supply of love,
yeah,
happiness, money, success. But what it is, we look for in another person. Technically, marriages, the only thing that it does is supposed to add to your happiness.
yeah.
It's supposed to add
Add value,
value
yeah,
to
to
your
your
life.
life.
Yes, and you add value to someone's life. And it's about you. And I love this concept about, you should always leave people better than how you find them.
SubhanAllah.
And that's one of our sunnahs as well. Like leaving people better than how you find them. Like making sure that you're adding value to someone's life is what makes you a human being. It makes you a merciful, loving human being. Just adding value, making people happy, making people smile. So make that your goal as well in your relationship. Like, you know what, I'm just gonna focus on, adding value to this person's life while I'm adding value to my own.
SubhanAllah. And I think that's really beautifully said, Rosaline, because when you
Jazakallah khair.
add value to somebody's life, Alhamdulillah, they feel it, they know it, and it's going to have a knock on effect in your marriage, in your life. You know, if you like that with your parents, you add value to your parents' life, SubhanAllah, they're going to appreciate you. If you like that at work, they're going to appreciate you. More importantly, if you like that with the person who has, you know, you're with 24/7, which is your husband or your wife, they're going to really appreciate you. So
Yeah.
it's down to you and your character building as well, and accepting ownership that, okay, these are my mistakes. I need to work on them. How am I gonna, forgo the need to always be right? How can I add value? How can I ask my husband, what do you really need from me? What would you
Mm,
love it? What makes you happy? How can I keep you happy? What things make you happy? Tell me them. List me them. Which people make
mm.
you happy? What things, when I do for you, make you happy? And vice versa as well, the other way around as well, for the wife, not just the husband, by the way.
Oh,
Subhanallah.
I
And
love
there's,
those questions.
yeah, you can really, when you ask specific, detailed questions, specific questions, you'll get specific responses, right? Don't ask wishy-washy, waffly type of general things, because you won't get that same kind of answer, subhanallah. But really asking and checking in with that person and saying, are you okay with me? Are you happy with me? Can I do something to improve it? I messed up yesterday. How can I make that better? You know, what's going to make you happy with me? And wallahi, literally, it makes me a bit emotional when I talk about it, because
Mm,
it ultimately connects it back to Allah, that Allah is the source of every single thing, right? He is going to reward you, and He is going to give to you, and He's going to provide for you from where you cannot imagine. But you have to, it's also an amana upon us, yeah, to get rid of this attitude that I'm not no man's joy, but really come to it with a place of love, with sincerity, with ikhlas, understanding who our creator is, working on them things, and wallahi, you will be adding value everywhere you go, and your life will
mashallah.
completely shift. When you
Love
live
that
from
title.
when you live from a place of gratitude, when everything that you see is little things that make you happy, subhanallah, and you're grateful for them, wallahi, everything shifts in your life, and that is priceless. Nothing can match that in your life. Having that level of sakina, having that level of tranquility, having that level of tawakkul, it makes it easy for you, subhanallah. Your life is gonna be at ease. Your
Mm,
heart is gonna be at ease when you push back from this ego and forget about always being right. Focus on adding value, and wallahi, it's beautiful, and may
mm.
Allah give us the tawfiq to implement and,
I mean,
become people that are sincere, and understand the value of marriage, understand the value of compromising, and all these other things. Subhanallah, I
I
think
mean,
it's phenomenal. You can create the most amazing marriage you want,
it's so true.
depending on your level of commitment. How committed are you? How much do you understand your other half? What are you willing to do to understand him or her? It's
Mm,
not about uh, the superficial things. It's really connecting with somebody from your soul and your heart. And because if you don't do anything, nothing changes. If nothing changes, you're
so
going to
true.
stay in the same place. If you live from that same selfish place, I'm not no man's Joey. That's going to be painful. That's actually more painful for you to stay, and the consequences are going to be also painful eventually, if you keep on coming from that place.
And you know what's so true? 80%, I tell you now, 80% of women who say that, deep down inside, they really want a man to rescue them. They really want a man to save them. They really want that partnership. Obviously, a man can't save you and a man can't fix you. But every woman has that in her, that she wants partnership and she wants companionship. But the thing
Yeah,
is that you're too afraid to admit it because of what society has placed upon you, that you should be this Kim Kardashian, living your life, traveling, being so free and independent. That's great. You can have that. There's nothing wrong with that. But
mm,
like Saika was saying, it's all about sacrificing and building partnership. Partnership requires sacrifice, it requires compromise, and it requires you to always look at what you can add to someone else's life. I just want to go to the comments because we have quite a few. Mama's Pot asks, how do you pick your battles in an aim to establish boundaries, but equally want to be that supportive partner who is willing to compromise with hope to achieve a sustainable long-term marriage? So basically,
subhanallah.
how do you pick your battles? Yeah,
I think boundaries should be set from the beginning, before you even enter the marriage, that this is acceptable and this is not acceptable. What's going to happen if this happens? How are you going to protect me? And ideally, in an ideal world, it is set from the beginning. And then it's really about understanding your partner, understanding their deep needs. What do they really, really, truly want? And when you build that relationship up, inshallah, and you're both equally committed, then their boundaries can be set and they can be enforced because you're both on the same team. The problem
right.
becomes when one team member backs out or is not happy, then they don't care and they just do whatever they want.
Right. And this is why, ladies, it's so important to have your nikah contract. Lay it down. A lot of us women have taught like being direct and being so like, loudmouth is aggressive and is bad. It's not. You setting your boundaries from the beginning is what's going to help the long-term sustainability of the relationship. If you already are in a marriage, you can always go over them. Have a meeting, sit back down, listen. We need to like talk about this. This has gone too far. I think we need to like set some boundaries. Have like me and my husband, we have a safe word. So I have a safe word that if I'm feeling away, I tell him my safe word, and then we have a discussion. That way, I come into that meeting, bearing my all, and there'll be no grudges. So doing things like that with your husband or your wife really helps set boundaries. But don't be afraid to be direct. I think a lot of
Alhamdulillah,
us
that's
women,
really good, Rosaline, having that safe word. I didn't even think
yeah,
about that. That's really powerful, Alhamdulillah. That's great
having a
advice.
safe word. Yeah, he has a safe word. I have a safe word. Whenever he says it to me, I was like, okay, cool. I need to drop my ego, listen. I need to be available emotionally. I need
Yes.
to like not put my opinions forward. It's time to listen to him and what he needs. And then that's how build our trust between each other, because usually
Alhamdulillah.
what happens when you're angry or when you're upset, you just go all guns blazing. And you're like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
did
yeah.
this come from?
And
I
we've
wasn't
all
ready
done
for
it.
this.
We've got
Yeah.
angry, we've got really
Yeah.
emotional, and then we've regretted it later on, thinking, oh no.
Exactly, and especially when you feel like
Mm,
someone's misconstruing your boundaries and overstepping your boundaries, and you stay quiet and then you implode. That's the
yeah.
worst thing you can do. You have to nip it in the bud as soon as you see it, and that's another thing that we've learned as kids. Keep brushing things under the carpet until like it piles up, and then we just explode. You can't do that. You have to nip it in the bud when you see it. As soon as you see it, you talk about it in a healthy way. You discuss it with the person, but don't leave it to linger like for a long time until you implode and think, you know what, this person's taking advantage of me, when really it's not that. It's because you haven't directed your needs.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. And I'm going to give you some other qualities as well that are essential for making your marriage to work. I think the first one is compromising. You know,
Yes.
you have to have that. If you don't compromise and you're going to be a rock solid kind of person, you're never going to get anywhere. Meeting your partner, meeting your husband or your wife halfway in literally everything that you do. That is
Mm-hmm.
literally, marriage is built upon compromise, because nothing is set in stone. Not everything can be set in stone. There's going to be times where you're going to have to give more, and he's going to have to give more. But don't think that you can't have these qualities are absolutely essential for the marriage to work. They're not things that you should have or might be good to have. It's absolutely essential for it to work long term basis. The second one is having flexibility. Now, the person who has the most flexibility in how they deal with things always ends up winning, because you're getting your needs met, but you're very open to adapting. You're open to changing. You're open to adjusting to each other when the time is required. Subhanallah, flexibility is very important, because you're both gonna probably meet the same end result anyway that you want. You just be flexible about it. You're gonna
Mm.
get there anyway, aren't you? Whatever it is that you want, it's gonna happen. It's just the way you're doing. You can be rerouted. It's okay. It's okay, and that quality is also essential for a marriage to work long term.
Love that. That's
Mm.
we just had another question coming from Allah. She said, "What's the difference between compromise and lowering your standards?"
Compromise is something that is, you're meeting your partner halfway in something that is reasonable and that is good and that is normal. So for example, I don't know, trying to think of an example. You give an example, Rosie.
Okay, so let's say
Probably
like, a compromise is like he takes the kids to school and then you pick them up. You're compromising,
yeah,
yeah, because
you've
you
met
get the
halfway.
times. Yeah.
Lowering your standard is, for example, if you've met a man who's got all red flags
Yeah.
and he's got, like, there's about 110 red flags, and you just really want to get married because the pressure's on and you like him or you've fallen for him big time. Now you can't, you've got your rose tinted glasses on, right?
Yeah.
Subhanallah. That's lowering your standards, because standards are something that we should always have. Standards are a good thing to have. You want
Yes.
to choose a good man, you want to choose a good woman that you look at and you feel happy that, subhanallah, their level of deen is strong. This person has
Mm.
integrity. This person's going to hold this. They've got my back. They've got good qualities, right? So that's standards, and you should always have high standards. But
Yes.
compromising is where that adaptability is needed, that flexibility and that changing, and it's okay and adjusting to each other. That's different.
Yeah.
Does that make
Like
sense? I hope
yeah,
that clarifies. Yeah,
even before marriage, like let's say the compromise is that okay, he's gonna save up money and just for like a few months you have to go and live with the parents. It's up to you to choose that. It's up to you if you accept that. But just remember, sometimes there's a compromise that you have to make. Another thing is that maybe he's not working in a full-time job, so you have to stay at your parents' house while he finds a house to live in for both of you to live in. There's a compromise there. It's not like you're lowering your standard. It's just the fact
yeah,
that you're understanding his situation. But lowering your standard when the guy goes, okay, ain't got no money. I'm not gonna pay you my head. Like
yeah,
you're just gonna have to accept me and fix me and be my rehab center. And
correct.
all the red flags are there, and you're like, oh my god, I need to save him. That's lowering your standards. When you feel a need to save a man or to fix him or heal him or be his savior, that is you lowering your standard, because naturally women
One,
have high standards, higher than men. But we have to lower it for us to be able to get married. That's normal. But it doesn't mean you lower it to the point where you are seen as a doormat
yeah,
and
don't
you're seen
become a
as
doormat
unmarriageable.
in doing that journey. Subhanallah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
perfect. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. So, what's our final thoughts,
Okay.
Sarika?
I'm going to leave with some other final thoughts: that never question the intent of your partner. Everything
Mm,
that they do, and this is something that we trained in a couple of years ago, with Tony Robbins, that I did, subhanallah, is that never ever question the intent, because everything that we always do has a positive intention. That's don't
mm,
that's the default status. Even mistakes that we make, even when we have big fights, really, if you read between the lines, there's a hidden plea for help in that. The
mm.
intent is always positive. So he might have gone and, I don't know, bought you a gift that was disgusting, right? It's disgusting, and it's not even, like, you can't even look at it. It's disgusting, right? But look at the intent behind it. He wanted to, he wanted to please you. He wanted to make you happy, right? It's not your type, but alhamdulillah, that's why you never question the intent and get on attack mode, or I'm no man's Joey, or there's a video that I had a while ago about £700 shoes. She's still not happy with
Oh yeah, I
£700
saw
shoes,
that.
right?
SubhanAllah.
Subhanallah. So what is wrong with people these days? You know, and you need to, yeah, you need to focus. The
Ridiculous.
focus in the marriage, inshallah, should be on giving, not receiving all the time. What am I going to get out of this? So focus on giving, and then watch naturally, inshallah, the receiving will come.
Yes,
The
and what I
receiving
just
will
asked this
definitely come.
quick question: what if the words or action is hurtful, but intention is sincere? So what if the words are hurtful?
You have to, you just have to calm down and have an honest and open discussion about it. And then once you've calmed down, don't have a discussion or don't start shouting and blazing. Everybody's got their own patterns of how they deal with conflict. So some people start giving silent treatment, some people storm off, some people start breaking things. You know, we all have patterns of behavior, how we deal um, in conflicts and stuff. So it's
Mm-mm.
about really letting, making sure that situation has calmed down, and then having an open and honest discussion and saying, okay, this thing made me upset. This is how we can rectify it. I'm sorry for this, etc. And inshallah,
Yeah,
working through it.
and there's one thing that I did. I got it from that book. You know, Melissa Ford, Living the Prosperous
Yes,
Coach.
yeah.
She said it in that book. She goes, okay, her coach, Steve Chandler, gave her a task, and he said to her, I want you to take criticism from your partner. So whenever you get into an argument, stay silent, and then when he's finished, say to him, yeah, you're right, I can be like that sometimes, and watch how the energy changes. And I actually did this with my husband. He was shocked. He goes, are you okay?
You
I
gave
was
him a
like,
shock
he
in
was
the.
just like, I felt so hurt. I was just like, he wasn't saying anything hurtful to me, but I felt butt hurt because of my ego, right? And I wanted to
Mm.
be right. So I just sat there thinking, and he was going on and on and on. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I can be like that sometimes. And he just looked at me like, I think like moments passed, like the world stopped.
Yeah,
And he was
subhanallah,
like, are
yeah,
you okay? He was like,
yeah,
it's
alhamdulillah.
okay. Like, you don't have to accept it as that.
You
But that's
know,
what
we'd love
happens.
it. We'd love it if our husband said to us,
Yeah.
you know what, you're right. Actually, I am wrong here. Who
Yeah.
does not secretly love that? We love
Exactly.
it. Like, so you have to
Yes.
do the same thing for him. He has
Yes.
to do the same. You both, it's give and take, subhanallah,
Yeah,
isn't
and
it? It's
just as
all about
Saika
give and
said,
take.
sometimes people have, sometimes people's communication patterns is not because of them, because of how they were raised. And as long as the
Yeah,
person not being abusive with their words, is not hurting you with their hands, emotionally or physically, and the words just a little hurtful because they're feeling hurt, you have to be able to differentiate. Are they feeling hurt or do they want to hurt me? There's a difference, and you will
yeah,
know it. When someone's being, hurtful towards you with their words, are they trying to hurt you with that word? Or are they just expressing their hurt? There's a difference, and you need to learn it. And the way you learn is obviously doing stuff like this, to say, you know what, I can be like that sometimes. And if the person still flies off the handle, then that's proof that the person just wants to hurt you. They don't want to resolve the situation. So usually
true,
having that kind of
subhanallah.
dialogue can stop that, and you can really make you reflect and strengthen the relationship.
100%, alhamdulillah, because marriage is a long game. Remember that. It's not a short term thing. You need to have them certain qualities, that stamina,
Yes,
be religiously guided
it's a
and
marathon.
deal, yes, marathon, yeah, and
It
deal
is.
with the core of your character. I said marathon in an old video that I did, like, I think last
This
year,
is a
subhanAllah.
marathon,
Yeah,
girl.
I said
Mashallah.
it like I was made it like
It is a
I
marathon.
was,
It's not a race, guys. What we're
yeah.
racing to, like, end of the day, it's a
It's
marathon. So
actually,
we're
it
in for
is
the
a
long
marathon,
run.
subhanallah. So
Yeah.
in conclusion, what we'd say, if there's any questions or comments on Facebook, tell us, what are your insights, what have you taken away from this, what things do you struggle with, as husbands or as wives. Obviously everybody's got their own struggles, but in conclusion, what we're saying is, saying that I'm no man's Joey Joey is a very selfish attitude. Okay,
Yes.
you have to make your marriage wonderful. You have to be two people who are constantly, who are givers, who are living to please each other, you know and you're meeting each other's needs, you're prioritizing each other. You can even outsource things, if you from the beginning you can have clear agreements with each other beforehand. That's perfectly fine. Both of you can compromise on that. Okay, you know what, I really struggle with this thing. Is it okay if we outsource this and we can go halves on it, or however you want to work on it? And
Yes.
remember, it's ultimately everything we do, when we be quiet, when we talk, when we do something good, we do something bad, ultimately our intention and our aim is to be obedient to Allah. It's about obedience to Allah.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know the light has just switched off. I don't know who came
Yeah.
in the room and switch that off. But okay, that's fine.
Saika has her own PA, man, switching the lights on and off. You see the how she's outsourcing, switching the lights on and off. You know, she's
Yeah,
taking action upon her words. That's deep.
subhanallah. So it's based on cooperation. Don't start threatening each other in using the Quran and the Sunnah in an abusive way,
Yeah, don't.
and threatening the punishment. You know, because that's quite low. That's low. Subhanallah. Look at yourself, analyze yourself. Look at the qualities that are essential. You know, compromising, being flexible. Subhanallah. Never questioning the intent of the other person. Owning up, like Rosie said. Uh, leaving the need to be right, you know, like Rosie said, adding value to the other person. And subhanallah, and your life is going to be wonderful, inshallah.
Exactly. And just remember, guys, ladies, you're not here to save no man. You're not here to fix no one.
Yeah,
You are here to heal yourself, fix your traumas so that you can be a whole person for another whole person. Because you are whole, you're not broken, there's nothing broken about you. You are a perfect human being who deserves love and success and happiness. And you can find that once you heal those patterns and recondition your mind to receive love, happiness, and success.
alhamdulillah
Yeah, guys.
rabbil alameen. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us and letting us, you know, help you in your journey. Please, if you have benefited from this, then do share it with somebody who has this problem or would really benefit from it. We're here to serve you. You know, if you want certain topics discussing, let us know. You can always just type it in the comments. You can PM us, DM us, however you wish, inshallah. And we hope you have
When's
a
the next
lovely week.
episode, Saika?
Yeah, say that again.
When's the next episode?
The next episode, inshallah. The intention was to do this on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Last week we had, me and Rosie both had a 3-day intensive coaching event, and subhanallah, I think the week before that I had my 5-day challenge.
Yep.
And sometimes I think life does get in the way. That's not a really good excuse, is it? But
So I think we're going to keep it spontaneous. Inshallah, we'll
yeah,
try and aim for a week, but
a week.
you'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll try,
Yeah,
inshallah, next Friday same time, right? At this
yeah, this
time,
is the
inshallah, in
perfect
the
time.
evening time. So thank you so much for coming on. We really
That's okay,
appreciate your
guys.
support, your love, your good words. You know, subhanallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you whatever you want. Give me and you both the tawfiq to implement what we say and do what we say, and you know, stay in touch. And inshallah, we will be back next week at the same time. Thank you so much for joining us, Rosie, as
Thank you,
well.
guys.
This will be available on YouTube for people who have missed it or can't see it or whatever. So, Jazakallah khair. Thank
Inshallah.
you very much, guys.
Jazakallah khair, guys. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.